Okay. No. And also my other problem with it is they never have a way for you to just they don't give you the link. Like I don't know why the live stream
Oh,
page
you have to
itself
like go to
would
your
yeah,
page and get
like I
it.
literally have to go search for my page, go to my page and then grab the live stream link and put it out. Oh, I still kept the same name one out. Let's do we're gonna talk about the Ethan Crowder thing a bit. We'll probably talk about other things too, but for that, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
Call it the Crowder-Klein-Seder Affair, because that's what it is. All right, now I'll get the link. Refresh. Okay, good. The title changed. Let me share the link, and then we'll figure out talk about this stuff. It's gonna be a little off because we don't know surely what happened, because the video doesn't come out till tomorrow, so there's no way for us to know exactly what went down. But we have an idea. And it seems like there's a lot of weird moral inconsistencies going on here. Okay, so I spread the link. Now I can get started. Let's watch this little. Let me post a little clip of Crowder.
I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a more perfect.
Now, I mean, this is a preview from Crowder's side, so we're not getting Ethan or Sam's side
Ethan's
on this,
side.
but they've kind of admitted it themselves that it seems like they just kind of ambushed him, which to me is some sort of moral failing, like being deceptive. Is that something they're cool with? I don't know, but we could say that Ethan, if we gave Ethan and Sam Cedar situations of non-consensual situations, I would think
Mhm.
almost 100% of the time they would say that it's morally wrong because you shouldn't force someone into a situation where they are not consenting to that situation, right? Like it doesn't even
Okay.
have to be sexual. I would think they would be like that for other things too. Like maybe you trick someone to going to see a movie that they are against and don't want to see, like, and it's probably not a good thing to trick someone into those things. Let people make decisions for themselves is kind of the thing, right? Like, why would you trick people into these situations? But it seems like it seems, I've only heard one side of this argument. Well, I guess I've heard bits and pieces of this. So it seems like Crowder is dodging Sam Cedar from what they're saying. So they started a hashtag. I forget what it's called, but it's something about cowardly Crowder or something bullshit like that, where they're calling Crowder a coward for not debating Sam Cedar and dodging him. Okay, so right there, Sam Cedar kind of already has the win. So why even do anything else past that? Just you made a hashtag, you called him out for not debating you. Everything you've done is basically a win. There's nothing else you need
Mhm.
to do anymore. You've shown that he's a coward, he doesn't want to debate you, and you even kind of showed that he goes for low hanging fruit by showing that he's going after Ethan Klein of all people, who doesn't argue politics. Maybe sometimes he mentions it, but he's not a debater. You don't see him go on debates and debate people. So it is. I will say it is kind of weird that Crowder, but it's not weird. Everybody does this. I mean, we see this on the left all the time too. Like people like Hunter Avalon or whatever that only debate low hanging fruit.
Yeah, the beard guy.
Yeah, like that beard guy, and then completely doesn't want to debate Sean, on something that Sean is actually educated on, and he wants to only debate people who are not educated in these certain topics. And maybe Crowder's doing that too. Whatever. I'm not a fan of Crowder, so I mean, if he's being a pussy, he's being a pussy. Whatever. But it doesn't mean that now you can sink down to the level of other people, or that you can abandon your morals in order to dunk on somebody. Like, that doesn't justify you abandoning your morals. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird to me that all these people on the left are tweeting this out as some sort of win. Well, first off, it hasn't even come out, so we don't even know if it's a win. Like, for all we know, Crowder could totally stand his ground and do well. Sam Seder is pretty good at debates. I don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with him on most things, but he's not a dumb guy. Like, he can argue and he can make debate, you know?
Yeah.
But still, they ambushed him against his knowledge. I think that's a moral failing on their side. I'm arguing with people on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, who cares about Crowder if he's blah blah?" But it's like, it's not about Crowder. It's about these people on, you know, Ethan and Sam Seder, who are supposed to be like moral arbiters, and they debate. Not Ethan, but Sam Seder is constantly morally pumping his chest out, you know, and always talking about this is immoral, this is wrong, how can people do this, blah blah blah, and then he completely abandons his morals to get a dunk on Steven Crowder, somebody he already had a win on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And to me, that makes no sense. It's a complete moral failing to me, but we'll see. And people are like defending this and justifying it, and I'm like, that's weird. It's totally a two wrongs make a who cares argument, you know?
I don't think I've ever seen a more perfect encapsulation of groupthink.
The CDC is like this whole governmental body. Just tell us what to do. You don't have to think about it, dude. Obviously, my point is that if you're so
and then it also shows
stupid.
And then this also shows Ethan being a pussy, because Ethan can't back up his words. He's talking all these words when Steven Crowder's not there, and then when he gets Steven Crowder to come on his show, he ambushes him with somebody who's better at debating than him. Like, why do that? To me, it was like, why didn't he have Sam Seder just coach him on the debate? And he could have debated Steven Crowder and come out better. Even if he lost the debate, he still would have looked better than he does now. You know what I'm saying? Because at least he did it, you know? At least he had the
Or reschedule it.
But
So he's like more informed about the stuff or something.
To me, it just, and I like Ethan. I think he's a funny guy. I think most of the times he's a pretty good dude. But this is just showing that he's not a good dude, you know, and he's acting like a total douchebag, you know, like just being an asshole and not realizing that he's acting immoral and not caring about it and being like, oh, well, I dunked on Crowder. And it's like, I think he kind of did the same thing with Keemstar, where he kept sinking down to Keemstar's level. And it's like, why do you keep doing that? Like, let Keemstar dunk on himself, you know what I'm saying? And look like an idiot himself. Like, why do you need to sink to his level? And it's the same thing. You're sinking down to Crowder. If people are saying Crowder's the one who's deceptive, oh, Crowder's always deceptive, he's evil, then why would you sink down to his level? Why not just have that win on him that you already had? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Listen to the CDC, bro.
You and I can talk about it. It is appointed to a man once to be invited on the show. And if you don't, you decline, and everyone now knows that you will, but I will never address you again. I bet this guy's going to do it.
But see, this is the thing he's saying. Crowder's saying it right here. I invite you on the show. If you back out, then I'll never address you again. That's the opposite of what Sam Seder's doing. Sam Seder invited him on his show to debate. Crowder's dodging it. And then Sam Seder, instead of like, Crowder's basically saying, I won't talk about you again, is basically saying, I'll take that win. And that's it, and we're done. You know, there's no need to continue kicking you while you're down. No reason to make fun of you for backing out. You know, I won, I'm going to move on. Instead, Sam Seder does the opposite. He wins by, you know, Crowder dodging him. And instead of just taking the win, he acts in these morally indefensible ways in order to get this dunk. It's so weird to me. I don't get it.
Do anything he can to avoid actually debating.
I didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Oh, okay.
So I prepared.
So I prepared, and his prepare was to bring Sam Seder on. Like, why didn't you just? That's even more deception. If you're saying you prepared, why not just actually prepare instead of lying about it? You know. I don't get it.
You know,
Steven, you're wearing
that we
a holster.
agreed. Yeah.
Or say, you know what, I'm
Yeah. That's
I don't
basically
know
all we
enough.
see.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know enough of what happened during the stream. We're gonna find out tomorrow because it's gonna air tomorrow. But to me, it just seems like a total moral failing on these people. And I'm not even a Crowder fan. You know, there's some of these people be like, your boy lost. That's what you're just mad that your boy's upset. And it's like, I'm not a Crowder fan. I don't like Crowder. Yeah, I think he's corny and I make fun of him all the time. I don't like Crowder. In fact, I like Ethan Klein way more than I like Crowder. I actually have watched H3H3, their channel for years and been a fan of their channel for years. I like Ethan. I like Gila. I think they're cool people. I think they're funny. I don't listen to them for politics. It's not their place. Like they rarely talk about it. When they do, I don't listen to it because it's just, I know they're not for that. Like, why would I listen to them on politics if they're not for politics? Like, that's not what I listen to them for. I listen to them for like comedy and stuff to laugh. So it's like, why would I, so then I totally get that Ethan's not a debate person and doesn't want to debate this dude. That totally makes sense. But then why be deceptive about it? Why not just be like, why would you want to debate me? I'm not a debate person. Like, we could talk about it, but, I'm not a person who debates. I'm not that kind of person, I'm not a person who debates. I'll go on and talk to people about stuff, but I don't want to debate people. What am I going to debate about? I'm not an intellectual. I'm not here to be arrogant and pretend that I know all these things or that I'm smarter than all these people. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to act inconsistent, I'm going to call you out on that. Like, it's ridiculous that, you think you can act inconsistent and then take that as a win. It's such a weird thing. Like, it's very strange to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get why people would defend that, but I think it's just kind of indicative of the kind of people who follow like Sam Seder and these kind of people. They just dislike Crowder so much that it's okay to abandon your morals in order to dunk on them, And I don't agree with that. I don't see why that's a good thing. And I don't see why you would do that when when you already have the win. Like, it's so weird. Like, if you already have the win, why act like an asshole after that? Like,
how does that make the other person look any better now?
Yeah.
By doing what you're accusing.
And now guess what?
Of doing.
I don't like Sam Seder. I don't like Crowder. I kind of like Ethan. Now I don't like all three of them, and I kind of view all three of them as the same kind of douchebag. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all the same kind of douchebag to me. They're all just deceptive, lying douchebags who sensationalize everything, and it's like, good job. Now now you've shown that you're just not a good person, and that you'd abandon your morals to dunk on somebody. Like, that's weird.
I keep seeing stuff like this, like the Surfs. Lance, he did this earlier in the week, maybe last week. He did something similar, like where he's pretending to talk as a conservative, and
and straw man people. Yeah,
transphobic,
exactly.
The transphobic.
Yeah,
thing that
exactly.
Doing,
but if somebody does that to the left and say, well, the left always says this and that, you don't see them like not say anything about it. You see them get mad and be like, well, that's a straw man. The left doesn't say that. We don't say that. And it's like, well, but that's what you're doing,
But you.
This the thing is, you're not supposed to sink to the levels of the people you criticize. That makes you a hypocrite, right? Like, that makes you a total hypocrite. And these people don't understand how they're totally being hypocrites. I don't get it. And they're okay with it. They're okay with the moral failings. They're okay with the hypocrisy. Like, as long as it's dunking on someone they don't like. That was the argument somebody gave me on Twitter. Was like, oh yeah, but Crowder's a deceptive person. Who cares? Blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I don't care on the sake of Crowder. I don't care if Crowder's feelings are hurt. I don't care that he was deceived. I care about the side who says they are the good people here. They are the honest, good people on this side, and then act in ways that's not honest or good. You know what I'm saying? I call out hypocrisies. That's what I do. I mean, if you have a moral inconsistency, why can't people call it out? I think it makes sense that people can. That's the problem with a lot of these debate me bros and a lot of these activist debaters, because they come in, this is why they argue in bad faith, because they come in with biased opinions. They don't come in and try to find the unbiased truth. They don't come in and try to find out what objectively is true. They try to dance around them. They try to deceive you because their goal isn't to get down to the truth. Their goal is to push a certain agenda. Lance from the Surfs, Vosh, they don't argue. They don't debate to find out the truth. They don't debate to see who's right. They debate in order to push people towards their side, towards their side of the narrative, to their side of the agenda, even if they have to lie, even if they have to deceive you. And that's not to say the right doesn't do this either. There's people on the right that do the same exact shit. It happens on both sides. But for some reason right now, it's more popular on the left, and we're seeing more of that. And that's why Destiny's been debating the left now. You know, when before they used to debate the right all the time. Now he's debating the left all the time because the left has gotten out of control with that shit. And they've gotten really popular, and now people are getting paid to be bad faith actors and be deceptive, you know? What do you think?
Kind of just very bizarre type of things
bizarre,
that
right?
people do online, the things that people say.
It is.
And
It
then
is
they
a
were-
weird thing, like a weird you got owned culture, right, on the internet, where
Yeah.
it's like everything else doesn't matter as long as someone's getting owned or someone's getting dunked on. The methods don't matter. It's just, you know, whatever.
Then when you don't agree with them, so you must like that person.
Then you must be on that.
I-
No, why are you defend? This is the argument. I've seen Lance do this argument before, where he puts up memes about like, oh, you're defending billionaires and you get nothing from it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when you're arguing and you're debating, the purpose isn't for you to benefit in some way. You know what I'm saying? That's not the purpose of a debate. It isn't like, I'm going to argue with you why billionaires shouldn't pay more taxes. Like if you had that debate, I'm not going to do that because I benefit from it. I'm not going to do that because I know I don't benefit from that. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand that concept. We don't need to benefit from things in order to argue for the truth, you know? If we're trying to say they have the transgender argument, you want to get down to the bottom of transgender argument. How does Lance benefit from that? Lance isn't a transgender person. He doesn't benefit from that. So he himself knows that you can argue for things without actually directly benefiting from it. It's not the point. The point is to argue for the truth and figure things out. And that's whole point of debate, is to find out the truth, right? It's to break through our biases. This is the problem, is why you never end up concluding a debate with these guys, and it just ends up ending and people just have to figure out who optically looked better, but you never really get down to anything because certain people aren't looking to be unbiased. Like when you go in a debate, you should be, I have this idea, you have that idea. Now we're going to argue and try to separate our own biases from this argument so that we can get down to which idea is more true, you know? But that's not what happens. You end up having two people yelling and arguing for each other and not giving any way and being uncharitable. Like you always see Lance and Vosh, they get into an argument with anybody on the right and it's, oh yeah, well you're a fascist, and anything they say, they take it at its possible worst, as worst possible thing that it could mean, and say, oh, see, you are a Nazi. And it's like, what, huh? Because I said welfare was like hurting black people, I'm a Nazi now? Like, huh? Yeah, well, you're on the right, you know? Like, meanwhile, somebody on the left says that, and it's a different thing, right? Like, oh, yeah, you're right. We need to work and make welfare better so it helps black people as opposed to hurting them, you know? But a person on the right says, and it's like, oh, you're racist. You just don't want to give money to poor people. And now SJW 9000 said to me when I was arguing with him about welfare, and he told me I didn't want to give money to poor people, when the truth was he was arguing for poor people to get less money. Because I was arguing for UBI, which would have given poor people more money than welfare does, and more of them, like more people would have more money, and there'd be way less poverty. But he didn't like it because he said, "Oh, well, why can't you have both?" And I was like, "Well, we can't. Like, if you can do the math and you can figure out how we can have both, then you should run for office and do that." You know what I'm saying? Right now, Andrew, at that moment, Andrew Yang came out with a plan. He did the math and said, this is the way we could possibly afford it, and we should look into it and try to pass this because we could possibly afford this. If we don't make it that it's you get UBI and welfare, that you have to choose one. If you can figure out a way to have both, go for it. I'm not against welfare. You know, I just think the welfare system is shit and doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You know, it doesn't help poor people. It doesn't help people get back on their feet. You know, in fact, it traps them, you know. So I think a UBI would work better as a replacement for welfare, but he didn't want that. He was like, oh, well, why would you replace? So it's like, all right, so you're arguing that if you get rid of welfare to get UBI, that's a bad thing. So just keep welfare and forget about UBI. But welfare gives poor people less money than UBI does, right? Like 80-something% of people on welfare get $600 or less a month, where UBI would be $1,000. You'd rather them just stay with the 600 because you don't want to take away welfare. Does that make any sense to you? Like, this is where I say these people are they can't argue. They can't argue unbiasedly. Like, he's so team sports with welfare, because the left is so welfare, that they won't even abandon it for something better.
Yeah.
He wants to keep both, and it's like, yeah, you can
Not
keep both.
doing
That's
less,
fine.
it's
I'm not
doing
arguing
more.
against keeping both. What I'm saying is that's not in the cards right now. Like, we don't have the math for that right now. How can we afford that? Like, can you figure that out? And if you could figure out a way for us to afford that, then maybe you should run for office, because you're pretty fucking smart, right? like you're pretty damn smart. Like, you fucking do it. Go for it. I wouldn't stop you. I might even vote for you if you actually had a legitimate way to have welfare and UBI at the same time, and you can budget that and without fucking any problems.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
See how it goes.
Yeah, I might vote for you. You know what I'm saying? Go for it. But obviously, that's not the argument he was making. He wasn't saying, he was just saying, oh, if you can't have both, then I don't want the other. And it's like, well, that's a stupid way to see things. Like,
Yeah.
it's why you never win, like, with the welfare issue. Progressives don't have the mindset to take things one step at a time. It's all or nothing with them. So it's like, this is why Bernie was like, Medicare for all, no more health insurance companies, make them illegal, no more privatized healthcare, blah blah blah. Some people don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So the reality of it is, right now, you can't pass that because the public doesn't want it. There's the thing Sean was talking about, where they deceive people and they're like, they think they understand what Medicare for all is. So when you poll people on whether they think America should have Medicare for all, they say yes. And you have a high number of people saying yes. So they use that poll and they say, look, this is what America wants. But the truth is, when you look deeper into that poll and they actually explain to them what Medicare for all means and all the policies within it, they start changing their mind and they start backing off, and they start seeing less and less people agree with it, And it's just the point that once people realize what's in there and what the things they're abandoning for it, they don't like it as much. So what do? Do you keep fighting for that? Do you act like Jimmy Dore and say, no, you fight, you make them, you make them go for Medicare for all, you fight? Or do you take baby steps and compromise with the other side and say, hey, look, I understand you're not going to vote for us to pass this. How about, we meet you halfway and we take baby steps, right? And you could do that. That's what Obama did, right? That's how we got Obamacare. Yeah. No matter how much people hate it and people say it sucks, it passed because, it was a baby step. It wasn't the full step. If you took the full step, it wouldn't have passed. At least now with the baby step, even if it's terrible and it's not good, at least another president can take that and adjust to it. It's already there. Yeah. All you have to do is add on, adjust, change, fix it as much as you can and work on it, little by little. Maybe you get it better. But instead, what these progressives want is all or nothing. So we would have never even gotten Obamacare if it wasn't. If they were there at the time and they were pushing for it, they would have voted against Obama because it wasn't the welfare they wanted, And this is what happens. You'll see them tweet it out, and people tweet to these progressive, officials and tell them, don't vote for that because it's not what they want. You know what I'm saying? It's not exactly what they want, so don't vote for it. But it's like, no, vote for it, pass it. You can always change it later. It's harder to pass something than it is to adjust something that's already there,
Yeah.
But they don't get that concept. That's a problem that with progressives, is they don't understand the concept of how politics work. They think you can just change things really quick. This is where you see Kyle Kalinske. He's always talking about fight. We just watched that Stephen Michael Davis video, right, where he was talking about Kyle Kalinske and how Kyle Kalinski's upset and thinks that the Justice Democrats failed, even though they have accomplished some things. They have gotten some things passed. They have proposed things. They have also brought stuff to the spotlight where people talk about it, at least, even if it hasn't passed or anything. At least people are talking about it and it could pass in the future. So there are things that the Justice Democrats have accomplished and have goals that they've reached that they said they were for. But Kyle's upset because he says the whole purpose was for them to fight, and they're not fighting, blah, blah, blah. They failed. By Justice Democrats, I started it and it failed because they're not fighting. But that's not, why they're not fighting? Because these people actually went into office and realized, oh, this isn't how politics works. You know what I'm saying? The whole fight thing is politics from people who aren't politicians. Once you're in the system and you fight and realize you keep falling on your face and it's not working and you're not even gaining any ground, that's when you start realizing, oh, wait, the tactic isn't fight. The tactic is negotiate, talk, try to work with other people. That's the problem
Good
with
chance
progressives is
well.
they don't play well with others, you know?
Yeah.
And that ends up being the problem with progressives. And then they're in the Democrats. So then you have the Democrat split. You have like the moderate liberal people who want to pass kind of the same things, but they understand things are slow. So when you get moderate liberals trying to pass stuff, they try to pass, baby steps. But then you have the progressives who don't want to vote for those baby steps because they're like, you're pussyfooting, right? Like it's all the way or nothing. And it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
So then we don't get shit done, And it's constantly, obviously the Republicans are going to shoot down anything that's too extreme. So why even bother? Like why not play the game? There's the whole thing of like, if you want to change the system, they used to always say, do it from within.
Yeah.
And so they started doing that,
thing.
but they're still not doing that by doing that. It's a weird thing to say, but they're joining office and they're still acting as if they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they're not understanding how it works and what are their tactics to get things passed. They're still acting like activists. And it's like, you're not an activist. You're a representative or you're a senator. You're not an activist. You're a politician. These are different things. A politician acting like an activist isn't working. Like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta pee. I'll be right back. I have to meet this.
No. Oh no. Oh my God. This is gonna crash and burn now. Oh my goodness. So how is everybody's day? I don't usually do the streaming thing, so uh, I am scared. Oh, I see Kairu in the chat. What are your guys' thoughts on this? It's been pretty good, Kairu. Playing Zelda. I was gonna say Yoda for some reason. I've got Baby Yoda on my mind, but been playing Zelda. Oh, thank God you're back. How many people are here still?
Yeah, I gotta unmute. Okay. Were you floundering? Are you scared?
It was. Yes,
Didn't do it?
I admitted my scaredness.
But yeah, back to the Crowder thing. I just don't. I don't get why the left would see that as a win. But I think we kind of answered that on the concept that I feel like it's a by any means necessary thing. Like they'll take the dunking on Crowder as a win regardless of how they got to it, right? Like, it's a weird thing. Like the one guy was saying that Steven Crowder's made his career from being deceptive. I don't really pay attention to Crowder that much, but to me that's beside the argument. But even still, I don't think I've ever seen Crowder lie to somebody to get them into an interview or a debate. Like, somebody brought up how they deceive people at colleges or something and talking to them. How does he deceive? Does he tell them, hey, you're going to meet your favorite celebrity if you do this interview for me, and then ambush them with rude questions and stuff like that? Like, that's the point of deception, is you're saying, come on my show, we're going to do this, and then when he comes on your show, you trap him with something else, and something different than what you said what it was for. Literally non-consensual, right? Then these are Crowder, Sam Seder and Ethan Klein. If you ask them any questions about consent, I bet you any money that they would always side with consent. Now they just made somebody do something against their consent. Yeah. Completely against their consent. This is what they call in like when it comes to like rape and stuff. Is this what they call like coercive rape or something? Like coercive consent, where you coerced someone into consenting? Like it's almost like
statutory rape.
Who do we just? Oh, we were just watching Destiny do an AMA, right? And what's funny is that he made an example in that just clicked in me would be perfect for this situation. He says, let's say I'm at a party and I pull out my dick to a girl and say, hey, I'm gonna fuck you, right? And she says, okay, and then he puts it in her butt. The idea is we already have this preconceived notion when we're talking about sex, we're talking about penis to vaginal, right? Like if you wanted anal, that would be an extra question to ask, right? So he's saying that's kind of like a form of coerced rape. Like you tricked them into doing something that they were not informed
or
they were
ready
going to do.
to.
Yeah, or ready for
Yeah.
it. Or if you even know that they're okay with it. Like, that's the point. And it's not about Crowder. People are like, oh, Crowder didn't get hurt or this and that. It's not about him. It's the other people who are acting in immoral ways and then justifying it by saying, well, Crowder's blah, 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 blah. You know, Crowder's even worse. And it's like, yeah, but because someone's bad doesn't mean that now you sink to their level and you're bad too. Like, I don't think that's a morality that works too well. It's very inconsistent. And it goes in circles. If you can act bad because someone else is acting bad, then someone else can act bad because you're acting bad. And then, you know, someone else act bad because that person's acting bad. And it just ends up going in circles. You're supposed to be the better person. And you're supposed to do better than the other person. Not to mention that Sam Cedar already had the win. So this was useless for Sam Cedar. He already had the win. This is more indicative, I think, of Ethan's behavior, because Ethan's the deceiver here. Sam Cedar's just kind of going along. Sam Cedar already had the win. The only person in this whole situation, if you think about it, that had anything to lose was Ethan.
Yeah.
Because if Steven Crowder can come on and make Ethan look stupid in a debate, then Ethan looks stupid, he loses, blah, blah. But even that, I think, is better than being deceptive, because all he showed now was how cowardly he was. Like, he could have
Being
actually...
interesting to listen to somebody different as well on there too.
That too. And he could have just not been cowardly and had the discussion with him. If he thought he wasn't going to do well because he's not a debate person, he could have had Sam Cedar coach him. You know what I'm saying? He could have had a bunch of... Ethan's, like, very popular on the internet. There's tons of people. He probably could have contacted Vosh, and Vosh would have came, coached them. Tons of people could have came on and coached them. Yeah. He knows people. He has connections. But instead, he decides to pull this weird deception on non-consensual deception on Crowder. Like, I don't get it.
Even the example with, like, Steven Crowder going to campuses, like, he's not forcing anybody. First off, it's at college and university, so, like, these are adults. Yeah. It's not like at a high school or an elementary school.
They're consenting to the interviews. It's not like, is he deceiving them? Like, he's saying, I'm going to ask you questions about, McDonald's, and then when the conversation starts, he says, what do you think of abortion? Blah, blah, blah. Why do you murder? I don't think that's what he does.
He's also not grabbing anybody and, like, sitting them in the chair and, like, you need to, like, talk about this now with me. Like, that's, if you want to come there, you talk to him. If not, you continue on and stuff like that.
No, I agree with that. And I do agree that Crowder does go after low-hanging fruit. Like, he's going after these normal college students. I'm sure he edits videos, too. Like, I'm sure sometimes he might get a good answer to what he's asking and be like, cut that out and just post the stupid takes, But but that doesn't mean that now you should do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make it good. Like, I don't understand that concept. I don't understand that train of thought.
Being had with that is like the point. Like, there's an agreement, there's an understanding of nobody's, like, forced against their will to talk about these things or stand around and listen to him. Like,
I mean, in the end, we don't know how it's gonna go either. So
yeah,
what happened? But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand how people can defend that, and I don't understand why they defend it. Like, they got nothing to win on either side. It literally seems like team sports, right? Like, it literally seems like, but Crowder sucks, so whatever. Like, So it's like,
yeah.
Like, how far does this go? This was my argument to the one guy. It was like, yeah, but how far did this go? Like, the one guy was giving me the argument was, oh, I don't care about the tactics. I just care to hear the debate. Like, I care about ideas and facts being discussed. And it's like, that's debate me, bro, to such a culture that it gets ridiculous. Like, now it's okay to deceive somebody to get them into a debate. Like, where does this stop? Can I go out and punch someone in the mouth and drag them back and kidnap them into my house so I could debate them on a stream? Like, is that okay? As long, I don't care that he punched that guy and kidnapped him, as long as the debate happened and they had facts and, And it's like, what? No, there's certain moral failings that shouldn't happen here. Oh, I'm having a dip in buffering. But that's okay. I don't think it's too bad. Buffering. But yeah, how far... this is like... This internet culture is so weird to me, right? Like, so it's like, how far are we going to take this debate me bro culture? How far is it going to get? Are people going to start getting canceled because they don't debate people? Or, are people going to start getting doxxed? Or... You know, what's going to be the next punishment for that? Like, it seems like it's getting to a point, like, you know, there was that guy that fucking insults Devin and then thinks that Devin should come and debate him. Like, why would I give you the time of day?
And then the debate is hidden but underneath, like, it's a conversation, but you can't just have a conversation because that's going to be turned down.
Yeah.
Make it a debate so they'll have to, like,
and then he starts calling people cowards for not debating him. And it's like, who are you? Like, nobody knows you. You come out and make this video on someone and call them a white supremacist, a white nationalist, which they're not.
Yeah.
And then you think that they should come on and debate you over it. Like, no.
Who are you?
No. If you want people to debate you, approach them in a good way. Like, why does it have to be that way? Why does it have to be so antagonistic? That's weird to me. But
that's why these conversation. Just say it's a conversation. Don't even be like deceptive with that. Like, just be honest about it.
And it's just a situation. It's the way it's been. Like, these people, you know, you're a coward for not debating, but it's a different standard for different people. Like, say that happened to Destiny, right? Do you think anybody's going to call Destiny being a coward for not debating somebody? Their first thought would probably be like, oh, Destiny's too busy to debate somebody as, you know, low key as you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have like, what, 300 subs? Like, why would Destiny debate somebody with 300 subs? He's got people asking him to debate all day. You know what I'm saying? You think he's going to pick the 300 sub guy, like, out of all the people that's been asking him all day? Like, doesn't make sense. It's like this weird thing where you try... It's almost, I don't know if it's subconscious or conscious, but it's almost like this culture's been bred, and now it's like this idea that, like, this is how we handle things. We ask people for debates. If they don't want to do it, they're a coward. You know? And it's like not everybody debates either.
Topic, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you're mean, you're saying mean things, I think you're mean, I think you're a bully, so I'm going to treat you this way, and that makes up for it because I just see you as a mean person or something. Like, that's not a debate either.
It's kind of what the Sleepy Bush guy is saying, is that Crowder asked the student to sit down and speak with them, and then they get up and swap with someone else. But it's not even that, because this is more like Ethan knows he's not a debater, so he tricks him on and has him argue with somebody who is a debater. This is like if Steven Crowder challenged Cenk Uygur to a debate, right? Let's say that. Cenk, come on my channel and debate me, and Cenk agrees. And then Cenk Uygur comes on, and Steven Crowder talks for 5 minutes and then swaps out with Sam Harris. You know what I'm saying? And Sam Harris walks on and go, hey, Cenk, remember the last time we debated and you lied about me and said this and that? Well, now you got to debate me here now, you know, like, I don't think anybody would be, it's funny because people laugh about that because they don't like Crowder, so the left defends that. But this is in the other way, and I don't think anybody would defend that on the right. I think on the right, they might laugh at it, but they'd still say, yeah, maybe Crowder shouldn't have deceived him. You know, like, why didn't Crowder just debate him himself? Like, I don't understand. You know, like, they would say those things. But these people are literally putting the excuse and arguing with me and saying, well, Ethan doesn't debate. And it's like, well, then why did he challenge him to a debate? So because he doesn't debate, it's okay for him to be deceptive and invite him on for a debate? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, how does that work? And it's like people just don't want to admit that there's something wrong here or something was done deceptively or bad, or they just don't care. That's the one guy just told me, I don't care. I don't care that Crowder's a transphobe, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. And it's like, yeah, but it's not about Crowder. It's about your side acting like douchebags. Like, why don't you ever call that out? And that's the thing that Destiny talks about, that, like, that's what he said about Lance, right? He was like, oh, when Mike from PA, when you guys were cool with him, you came on here and was like attacking me about shit, you know, and telling me that I'm doxing him when I didn't, and attacking me for like 2-3 hours in a debate on a video. It was like a 2-hour video where Lance was like trying to reprimand him and trying to bust him on doxing this dude whose information is public, whose name is Mike from PA. You know what I'm saying? And that was Destiny's argument from the beginning. He never shifted from that. He was like, dude, the guy's name is Mike from PA. You know, like what are you talking about? Like, how am I doxing a guy named Mike from PA who calls himself Mike from PA? How does that make any sense? And then the last time they argued, Lance brings that up again. Oh no, Destiny brings that up, and he was like, oh, well, you came at me over Mike from PA. And what does Lance say? Yeah, well, I take that back. That guy's a douchebag, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, that's the point. That's what Destiny says then. He's like, yeah, that's the point, is that you act a certain way morally when people are your friends or people are on your side, But the second they're not on your side and you have a disagreement with them, now all of a sudden you're 100% against them, and you would never defend them. Like, it's weird that you would ignore certain things and then and then put light on other things. Meanwhile, all Destiny's doing and why he has fallings out with all these people is that he shows people what they're doing. He shows people, oh, look, this guy's being deceptive. This is a bad argument. Like, why would he say this? Like, oh, thanks that friggin' guy.
Nice.
Cheers back to you. But it is a strange thing. Like, I don't understand why they had to do that deception. Like, and for me also, what makes it even worse is how unnecessary it is, right? Like, why would it, like, Sam Cedar already had the win. Ethan is not a debater, so didn't even have to do that. He could have just literally said, look, man, I'm not a debater. I run a comedy channel. Like, I do entertainment and I interview people. Yeah, sometimes I talk politics, but I'm not like a big political dude. You know what I'm saying? He's not a political pundit. Crowder basically talks politics exclusively. Like, that's his main thing. He does politics in a comedic way, right? That's basically what he does. But he talks politics all the time. He's basically like the Daily Show, right? But of the right,
Yeah.
Where Ethan and Heel are not. H3H3 is pure comedy, right? Like that they may
Like
go
talk about
on these
entertainment news kind of thing.
They may talk about some of these topics, but they're not exclusive to those topics. You can watch entire podcasts of theirs or videos of theirs and not encounter politics at all, many times over, Whereas Crowder, basically every stream you're going to catch of his is going to be about politics, basically. So obviously, Ethan isn't that well inclined. It's actually going after low-hanging fruit on Crowder's side. And that's where Ethan could have gotten that win and just call him out on it and just be like, oh, you're going to come after a guy like me who doesn't really delve too much into politics, right? But you're going to dodge Sam Cedar. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would have been the easiest win for Ethan. And Sam already having the win and keeping his win, and just pumping his win and sharing that information is a win already, and just being like, look, he's dodging this guy, he's challenging me to debate when he's dodging this guy. I'm somebody who doesn't even talk about politics. You could totally bust them on going after low-hanging fruit. I know people don't want to admit they're low-hanging fruit, but if they're not political people, and I don't think Ethan even claims to be a political pundit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just play that. I mean, imagine this has happened to me and I make fun of them. I'm not really a debate guy either. And people have tried to come at me to get at Devin on a debate, right? That's how I ended up debating all the... Oh, why did Billy Bong? Can't stand Crowder's a typical right-wing guy, just not funny. I don't know. Billy Bong timed somebody out in a way. It's all good. You'll be back in 300 seconds. But it's happened to me where, like, that's where I got into these debates with vegans. But I would tell them, like, it's funny that you come after me because you can't get to this person, like.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. And then, yeah, we've had a couple of those. I remember a fan of Devin's debated vegan gains. And it's so funny. Like, it was so douchey that instead of writing, vegan gains versus, whoever they're debating, they just said vegan gains versus AIU fan. That's what it said. And we were laughing at that. We were like, oh my God, like, he wants to debate Devin so bad that he doesn't even, this person's going on as a fan of Devin's, but they're not going on to debate as a fan. There was some Dutch dude.
Yeah.
And he's, he put on Devin's shirt to go on. He had the roof shirt. But it was this Dutch dude, and we're laughing. And I think I live streamed watching it with a bunch of us, and we were all laughing about how he labeled the AIU fan instead of putting, that guy had his own channel too. Oh God, what was it called? Damn, I wish I remembered, because it's a pretty simple name for a channel too. But that guy was nice. I don't know whatever happened to him, but he was a nice dude. I think he was like a lawyer from the Netherlands.
Oh wow!
I don't remember if Devin met him or not. But it was a really nice guy. We used to talk to him a bunch, and then he just disappeared. But he had a channel and everything where he would talk about law and stuff. But he went on to debate vegan gains on veganism. And and he titled it versus AIU fan.
AIU fan.
It's like, damn, talk about like not having respect for somebody that you couldn't even put his channel name up there. Like, come on, man, why are you being such a douche? Like, just put his channel
So
name.
thirsty for the.
But that's how thirsty he was to debate Devin, that he took, I think he did it like 3 or 4 times, that he had different fans come on to debate him. And I think Ask Yourself would do the same thing too. Ask Yourself was asking me to debate. No, he didn't want to debate me. He said I was low-hanging fruit, which, I was like, yeah, that's fine, because I don't debate about veganism. Like, I don't even think about it at all. Like, I definitely wouldn't be good in a debate against veganism, even though I did bust a bunch of vegans. And he would, oh my God, well, we'll get into that some more. But it got, yeah, it gets a little crazy with that. I don't understand. I don't get these people, but they get really desperate to debate certain people. And like,
Yeah.
Ask Yourself would get mad and make videos about why Devin wouldn't debate him, but made videos on him. And he was like, why won't you just debate me then, so we could just talk back and forth? And we're like, the point is, it's funny that's how this guy, that tomfoolery guy, was doing too. And it's like, just make videos. Like, why debate live? Like, you being quick at the moment doesn't make you right. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we debated and you beat me in that debate because maybe you're better on the moment with me, or you're more knowledgeable about that information than me. But if we make videos, then I can research things, I can take my time, and I can compose a good argument. You know what I'm saying? By taking my time, and I'm not relegated to having to think on the spot. I think videos and video responses are better. They just take longer, right? Like, that's the only difference. But I think that them taking longer is a better way to do things. Because what happens in debates are, I start giving you a fleshed out argument, and halfway through you start going, but no. And it's like, oh my God, yeah. And that's how many debates do we watch that's half of the debate is no, but let me finish. And then you don't get anywhere. Just like Vosh talking when Destiny and Vosh are on, and Destiny makes fun of him, saying that he gives out like 17 points in a row. That becomes a problem because you have to think on the spot. Now, if they did this with videos, Vosh can make his video giving out his 17 points in a fleshed out video, hand it to Destiny. Destiny can go through that and go through 1 point each at a time in his own video, right? And break them down one by one. This is why these people want to debate, because when you really get down to they are and want that to be like the main way of discourse, because when you really get down to it, these people are just good on the spot. And if you break down their arguments, like, how many debates have we watched that people kind of play it like they won, but then we watch it and the person's like all word salad and nothing even makes sense. And like, if you really slow it down and pay attention to what they're saying, they're not saying anything. This is where the optics idea comes from. It just looks good. And this is why people want to debate and not make videos, because one, they're time consuming, and two, when you make videos and give the other person enough time to do the same, they're going to break down your argument really, down to the very little details and stuff and little inconsistencies that you're not going to always catch live on debate. And, you hear people who debate say this all the time. Like, yeah, it's not always easy to catch things on the spot. You listen to your own debate later and you're like, oh, why didn't I say this? This would have been the best argument for that, and I didn't think about it. But that doesn't mean that's what I'm saying. Doesn't mean you're right. You know what I'm saying? Just because you thought faster and the other person couldn't think of a better argument doesn't make you right.
Yeah, it's just like too much time has gone by or something.
It just made you the faster thinker, or at least the person who's thought about that argument the most.
Like when we've watched a few debates of Destiny, and like he'll sometimes take a couple notes or something on a point that he wants to remember or something like that.
Yeah, that's why, because it's not so easy to think of counter arguments on the spot, especially when you get caught. This is what I used to do with vegans all the time, and they would get caught because I used to call them template warriors. They used to laugh at that too. Like, they were like, template warrior, haha. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are all template warriors. And then they would laugh at that because they never heard that before, and I'm basically calling them fucking clones of each other, right? Like, all your arguments are exactly the same. I argued against like 4 or 5 of them, and they'd all be the same exact argument. And it's the same argument I hear Ask Yourself do to people, and it's like, oh yeah, name the trait. I know this, and then I would give them answers because I watched it so much and saw and heard it so much. I had an answer to everything, and when they would ask me, I would have an answer, and they would get stumped. Because it's not what they thought. It wasn't the answer they thought they were going to get. Most people, it works on name the trait to me, I think it's an argumentative trap. It tries to confine you to talking about how we separate beings, species, into like that traps you into speaking about it in one way. They want you to go one by one for one thing, which is we're talking about things that don't separate this like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the difference between me and a dog isn't something that we can separate to a one by one thing. It's the accumulation of all those things that makes me different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can't just separate one thing, you know, it just doesn't work that way. But that's what they want to trap you in, so that when you say the one thing, they counter out, oh, well, if we make that the same with humans, then, you know, then you would eat a human. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it doesn't work like that, because you can't just take one thing and give that to a human without still having all the other things there. You know what I'm saying? Like if you took, they would do this trick where it was like, oh, you know, there's a pig. Because some people would answer what separates humans from animals is intelligence, right? So then some people would say, oh, so then ask yourself, I remember he ended up going to this absurd point like this, where he had to stay consistent morally with his dumb argument, was that he would save the pig over a girl who was, you know, mentally handicapped and had a lower IQ than the pig, right? Because they were like, somebody answered intelligence. That's why, because we're more intelligent. It was like, oh, all right. So if we have a human that's less intelligent than, say, a pig, then you would eat that human, right? You know? And it's like, no, because it's still a human, right? Like it's not a pig. That makes it different, right? So that's why they try to pin you on one thing when everybody knows there is not just one thing that makes us different. It's the accumulation of all these things. It's a huge spectrum of things that makes us different, down to the genetic, biological level, to even a philosophical level, you know. Then they're like, oh, what about morals? Well, if you have a person who has less moral agency than, say, a cow, then would you eat the person? It's like, no, it's a person. No. Meanwhile, they got stumped on me because I'm a meat is meat kind of person. The morality play on not eating humans goes to a different level for me, because I don't believe you should be able to kill a human to eat them. But I'm not against people eating humans. Like I even told them, hey, you can even solve world hunger if we stopped wasting bodies and burying them and burn them and converting them to meat when people die. You know what I'm saying? The only moral problem with that is that we might reach a point where we start saying, we want more of this meat. Let's make sure more people die. You know what I'm saying? And it starts becoming a moral problem of killing humans, not necessarily of eating them. Because my problem is humans should afford each other. All species, I think all species do this. We afford each other the same rights within a species. Dogs, look at all dogs and they all have the same kind of, you know, when a dog makes their alpha hierarchy, they all agree to this. This is the thing. They all agree that this is how it runs. They afford each other the same rights. You win, you become the leader, you know, you're the alpha. And I know now if I want to be the alpha, I have to challenge you, or I got to accept you as the alpha. You know, that's my role here. Everybody understands their roles. Within species, you afford each other. This is why animals of the same kind live together, right? That's why you get packs of bears and, you know, prides of lions and packs of dogs, you know, fucking flock of seagulls. Great band. But this is why, because animals afford each other the same, within the same species, afford each other the same rights. So we can't kill each other, right? That's like a social, a quiet social contract we have with each other, you know. We don't kill each other. We're not going to rob from each other. You know, obviously we do it, but that's why we shame those things, because we don't want done to us.
Acceptable.
Yeah, there's a golden rule, basically. Don't do to me what I could do to you, but that only goes within species. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're not... and then they have the issue of suffering, but I bring up the issue of... So then if you take out... This is where they get stumped, too. Because they bring up, oh, but, you know, we should end suffering for animals. And I'm like, okay, but let's say we take suffering out and we could still eat animals. Then, right? It was like, are you cool with that? And they don't even like that, you know. And it's like, oh well, so if I can take your but I'm doing the same thing, right? They're making me answer an argument with only one answer, as opposed to being able to give them a general, like it's a combination of things. And if you want to do that, then they have to do that. And when they do, the same thing happens, right? When they say, oh, but you know, suffering, and then you go, all right, well, if you take away suffering, then now, you know, we can eat them, right? You know, and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, well, I was saying, what if we started eating them at the end of their life or something, and we give them a good life, they're about to die, and then we kill them and we eat them? Why is that a problem? They were like, oh, well, killing is suffering. And I'm like, not always. Sometimes killing is a better outcome than living. You know, there's occasions where it's like that. Especially when you get older and they're going to die anyway. Like, why not put them out of their misery? You know? Wouldn't that be
why
better?
let the animal suffer instead of just like putting it out of its misery like that? It just seems more cruel to do the opposite.
Alf, your videos on Brown Fabio excusing crime aged like fine wine. Any plans on bringing back the Twilight Zone series? Possibly. They're really time consuming, so I don't know. It's hard to make the time to make videos anymore, even to edit them. They take a while. But yeah, I probably will. Probably do them on occasion here and there. Pop one out. And there's so many of them that I would never get to all of them. So that's also another reason why you end up like not feeling a rush, because there's so many. If there was only like a few more left to do, it'd be like, oh man, I could just pump these out and I'm done, you know. But there's like 100 and something episodes, and I did like 11. It's like, goddamn, there's so many. But I might actually get pretty decent views on those, and likes and random comments and people coming on.
I like that one you did too.
They're not bad. They're just time consuming, you know, like I said. Sometimes it's easier. It's maybe easier, but like easier and less time consuming to just sit here and talk and just have a stream as opposed to like editing and stuff. Doing like live stream reviews of Twilight Zone. I don't know if that would work the same. But yeah, people are really funny with arguments, and I don't think they understand how it works. What's with this Crowder thing? What happened? Did I discuss it at the start? Yeah, I already talked about it, but it's some weird thing where Crowder, I guess, was dodging Sam Cedar. I'll do the quick take. Crowder was dodging Sam Cedar for a debate, I guess. So then H3 kind of suckered him into a debate and then ambushed him with Sam Cedar when he went on. And then the people on that side on the left are considering that a win.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think it is. And I'm not even a fan of Crowder. I don't think that's a win for them. I think that's kind of just shows how deceptive they are. You know, kind of like how easy they'll abandon their morals to dunk on somebody. You know,
as soon as it's something you don't like, it's okay to be a douche.
Yeah.
Okay, be a douche.
Yeah, basically. Like, if somebody did that to them, we know that they would be against that and be angry about it. But you know, somebody tricked Ethan Klein onto a show and then tossed in somebody to debate him that he doesn't like Keemstar, let's say, right? Let's say he doesn't want to talk to Keemstar. They beef out a lot. And let's say PewDiePie invites him on and goes, hey, guy, come on my show. And then fucking Ethan shows up at PewDiePie's show, and then Keemstar pops up and they make him talk to Keemstar when he doesn't want to, when he hates that guy. Like, that's some douchey shit. Crowder's a little bitch and A3 pops. Yeah, I'm saying regardless, I mean, I don't like Crowder either. So, I mean, he's a little bitch too. But, I mean, I find the criticism more valid of Ethan and Sam than I do to Crowder. Because Crowder, we already know how Crowder is. And I don't really expect much from him. And I'm not saying I expect a lot from Ethan Klein and Sam Cedar, but I'd expected more than them being deceptive about it. Like, that seems weird to me for them to do that. And I know these people often come out as hypocrites, but I didn't expect it from, at least not, well, I guess Ethan I did expect. I've seen him do that before with Keemstar, like I'm saying, and sinking down to his level. But Sam Cedar, I don't know. I know Sam Cedar, he's a little weasel, but I don't really know him as being deceptive, though. Like, and I've watched his stuff occasionally, especially when Devin reacted to it back in the day. We used to react to it all the time. More recently, he hasn't as much because they don't really say much anymore. Crowder will only debate unprepared college students in his My Mind segment. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but there's no deception there. He's not tricking them into debating him. You know what I'm saying? There's no deception there. That's what I'm saying. The thing that made it even weirder to me is the fact that they're taking this as a win when they didn't need it. They already had the win. Like Sam Cedar already had that Crowder was dodging them. Started a hashtag that was getting around and being popular, and it's like, you already had the win. What was the point of you now putting yourself in a position to look bad to get an extra win? You know what I'm saying?
force a
Yeah,
conversation
it's
or
almost like
debate to
stomping
happen.
someone's head after you've already knocked them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you kicking somebody while they're down? You already beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
You don't need to beat them more and
And
cause
then like
even
stabbing
more
them
damage.
in the
Yeah,
side.
and come off looking like a douchebag on top of that. Like, for what? When you already had the win. I don't get it. Even Ethan could have called him out on that even and been like, well, oh, you want to debate me? What about you debate Sam Cedar or something, right? You've been dodging
Yeah.
him. Why don't you debate him instead of debating me on the same topic? You know what I'm saying? You're only coming towards me because I'm a comedy channel, and I don't fucking, I don't really do debates. So, but you could debate Sam Cedar on it. You could have totally called him. Oh my God, Sean, this is
No.
just the second time I explained it, bro.
Jonathan.
I think if you want me to explain it more, you're going to have to come in here.
Why does Crowder dodge Cedar? He agreed to it and then he backed out of the debate. So
That's what they're saying. I don't know the
That's what they
past story
said.
of that, but there's a hashtag. I can't even remember what the hashtag was called. I could find it right now if you give me a second. It was something about Crowder, hashtag chicken shit Crowder or something like that was going around.
But if he did like actually
If he did, that doesn't
come out of the debate, then
Well-
that would be a good example to use when Crowder always says that it's hard to find people
Yeah.
to debate.
But I'm
Because this
saying
would be a prime example of
if
that.
they already had the win of him dodging the debate, what's the point of being deceptive and looking like a douchebag in order to sucker him into a debate he's already dodging? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. Something well, Hunter and Sean ended up in the same stream, but that was in a totally different way. But nobody was deceived there. But imagine Sean did that to Hunter. Hunter's been dodging Sean, but imagine Sean said, I don't know, Sean talked to Vosh or something, and Vosh was like, yeah, we're gonna debate you guys are gonna debate on my channel, I'm gonna moderate or something, or come talk to me, and then he talks to Vosh, and then Vosh switches out for Sean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now Hunter's trapped talking to Sean. You think everybody on the left would be cool with that tactic? You think they'd be like, oh yeah, Vosh got Hunter, ha ha. He got him to argue with Sean, this right winger, ha ha ha, Or would they be like, man, that's douchey, why'd you trick him?
Why'd they like do that? Yeah.
Obviously nobody would like that. They'd be talking about why he tricked Hunter into that. But since it's the left doing it to the right, it's okay. Or
They don't
because
like-
it's on Crowder, it's okay. Carter wasn't interested in Cedar, in part because Cedar would gain. Yeah, Crowder tries to debate people on his level in terms of subs, and Cedar does this to get on Rogan as well. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And he already has the win, but now he acts like a douchebag. Like, for what? It's so weird that people defend that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool because it's Crowder." But if you did that in the opposite direction, people would be pissed. The same
That
people
just-
who would defend this would be against it. It's weird.
Highlights more of like Ethan and Sam Cedar's like kind of deceptive attitude towards this, because look, it's just to get to like that goal or whatever, if that's actually what Cedar wants to do, get on Rogan, because now he's on H3.
Yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me, especially if you already had the win. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like you just want to be an asshole and be cool with being an asshole, and then justify being an asshole by doing the.
Ethan could have had Cedar on still separately, not together too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It looks bad for Ethan as well because he's the one who made the deception. I mean, Sam Cedar didn't even have anything to gain by that. He already was on the winning side to him, to himself. He already saw himself as being the winner of that. So he gets Ethan, who obviously doesn't debate, to trick. It seems like was this the trick all along, or what was going on? Because if Ethan wanted to, he even told Crowder he prepared. He's like, "Oh, you think this is gonna be easy, but I've been preparing. I prepared." And it's like, but if you're gonna tell him you prepared, why not just prepare? It's like if Sam Cedar wanted to debate him, why didn't he just come to you and coach you and get you ready to debate Steven Crowder with his ideas? With his arguments. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you do that? you know Crowder makes videos and puts content out. You know his arguments. You know what I'm saying? How hard is that? Like, Sam Cedar could literally watch his arguments, make responses to it, and give it to Ethan for debate.
Now this is just making Crowder look better because he's not doing something deceptive. If the only thing is he talks to college kids on university and college campuses who are adults and not forced to have that conversation, I'm not seeing how that's supposed to make like Crowder look bad.
Yeah, see, Sean's talking about exactly Sean, because Sean is actually an ethical person. He said, I told modern day debates people that Hunter didn't want to debate me pre-stream just because I didn't want to do an ambush. Like, yeah. That's what I was saying. You guys both knew you were going to be on that stream. You just weren't going to be directly just debating each other. It was going to be in a panel. So I guess he was cool with that. He was like, fuck it, I'll go on a panel with Sean. I don't want to debate him one-on-one or something because you're slippery Sean. By the way, Sean sells Slippery Sean shirts. You can see them on the merch shelf of his videos. Picks them up. Slippery Sean. Great phrase. Great name. Brave New World. So slippery, Sean. Brave New World. That was the Dutch guy. Thanks, Redbound. Yeah. Yeah, he was the one. He debated Vegan Gains, and Vegan Gains wrote it as, I debate an AIU fan instead of putting his name. I was like, that's the douchey. Like, promote his channel, put his name on there. Like, why? Trying to get the AIU attention, you know. They both used to do that shit, and ask yourself too. But yeah, I just don't understand I guess I do kind of understand. It kind of shows the personalities of the people that follow these people. It's all like we said before, it's all team sports. It's all like, yeah, it's okay when my side does it. It's not okay when their side does it. We see Lance do this all day and post straw men of the right, straw man's the right all day with the little memes and stuff.
Yeah.
I made sure they knew up front what happened was Crowder was going to Politicon, which is sponsored by TYT in part. Cedar asked to debate Crowder's manager, aka his dad said no. Oh, wanted to debate him. Crowder's manager, aka his dad, said no. Oh, I did say that. Like, I did see something that he was saying his dad won't let me debate him. Oh, so he just won't debate him at Politicon? Like, but he talked to him on a stream, maybe? I don't know. Then Cedar released the emails with the Politicon scheduler. Yeah, it's just seeming like Sam Cedar's being a vindictive cunt, basically. Like, I don't like that he won't debate me on Politicon, so now I'm gonna do, like, you know, douchey things to him, and deceive him and lie to him, basically bully him into it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's the argument people are giving. He's deceptive and he bullies people, and I'm like, so that means you do it too? Like, isn't that morally inconsistent? Like, two wrongs make a who cares, I guess. Yeah. It's a little strange.
I guess now it's okay to hit people if you don't like them, or they say something you don't like now and stuff. So
that's what they do, though. You can punch Nazis, right? Like, I don't agree with this person, so you can punch them.
Oh yeah,
so
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I don't agree with this person, so we can act deceptively and bully him and put him in non-consensual situations because he's no longer a human, I guess. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And no longer in consideration for morality.
Like Lance yesterday with the transphobe stuff about Joe Rogan. That's not. I really don't think I've heard Joe Rogan say anything against trans people at all.
Of course not.
But
Joe Rogan's totally a liberal.
Lance
he has no problem with trans people. His argument is he has certain, what do you call that? Like apprehensions about apprehension. That's not what I'm thinking.
Caveats.
He's apprehensive about certain situations, as in having them in sports, in certain sports, or in certain situations. But he's not against trans people. He doesn't think trans people should not have rights or blah blah blah. Yeah. He's not sitting there saying, like, let's get rid of all the trans people. That's silly. This is where the range doesn't happen. Like, there's no spectrum with them. It's either one or the other. Like, if you have any disagreement with it, that means you're completely against everything to do with it. It's like, what? This is what I'm talking about, how these people are extreme, like progressives, how it's all or nothing. And the mentality's that way too. You either agree with all of it or you agree with none of it, you know. So why would he debate the 97th biggest lefty show? I don't. Well, he would debate Ethan because Ethan's not a debater and it's an easy dunk, you know. It's a low-hanging fruit, which I don't doubt. I'm not saying Crowder doesn't go after low-hanging fruit. In fact, that's a win in itself. And just saying, oh, you're going to go, you know, if Ethan wanted a win there and continue with the Sam win, he could easily have said, oh, you're going to debate me, but you're not going to debate Sam Cedar, who talks about politics all day, every day. Like, but you're going to ask to debate me, somebody who barely talks about politics and mostly just interviews people, right? Does like entertainment and comedy. You know? And basically, I know people don't want to call themselves low-hanging fruit, but I mean, it's literally what Ethan is, and he probably knows that himself. Or he wouldn't have even ambushed them with someone if he thought he himself wasn't low-hanging fruit, you know? If he had the confidence to say, I'm not low-hanging fruit, then he would have just, you know, debated himself. And be like, I got this, Sam, don't worry about it. Crowder was not interested. They were, according to Cedar, Crowder ducking him. Yeah, Crowder's point was he has the biggest conservative show, so why would he debate the 97th biggest lefty show? No, I mean, that's not a bad point, but that's still what these people, we were talking about that earlier, that's the debate me bro culture, and now you can excuse anything you want because somebody dodged you in a debate? Like, you know, it's so stupid, right? It doesn't make any sense. That's what I was saying before about, like, now somebody could just act douchey to you and say, debate me, and now you're a coward for not debating that person? Like, I got better things to do than sit around and debate anyone who comes along and insults me. You know what I'm saying? If you want me to debate you, why don't you come at me nice, you know, and talk to me and be like, hey, you know, I know you don't debate, but if you wanted to have a discussion, this and that, we could do that. That's cool. But to, like, insult someone or insult one of my friends and then be like that people have to debate them, it's like, or not have to, or even bring it up, like, oh, debate me. You have a problem with what I said? Debate me. Like, huh? No. And then, oh, you're this guy, they're cowards, they won't come debate me. It's like,
get called out for that type of, like, what that is. All like, that is, get called out for it. And then admit that that's what you're doing later on.
It's like, what do you think? I'm 13 years old? Did I fall for that? Like, I don't fall for that. Like, I don't give a shit. It's like a 13-year-old and shit. Oh, what are you, chicken? Back. Like, dude, I'm fucking 40-something. Like, I'm not going to fucking bend to your will because you think you can shame me. Like, you can't shame me.
Or it's supposed to be satirical bits. It's missing. I don't think so. I don't think that's what that is.
Yeah, and I find the whole debate thing weird anyway, that people think debate is better than response videos. I think response videos are better than debates.
Or would you like to have a discussion? Like, just asking, hey, would you like to have a talk with me about this?
Or even discussing, that even works better than debate. Debate is literally for the sake of entertaining people with, like, team sports, you know. Blank versus blank, you know, like it's all it is. Because really, like I said, what I was saying earlier, like, making videos is way better because you can really delve into each topic and take your time and construct solid arguments, you know, than, like, you know, really all a debate is aha, I caught you off guard, you know, like, and you don't have enough time to think of an argument against this, aha. But, you know, a week later, that person's gonna be like, oh, I have an argument against that. So it's like, you know, like, I just thought of one. I've thought about it for a while now. I haven't. That's why Destiny on a lot of these times. Like, I remember we were watching the AMA with him and he brought up, like, oh, how come sometimes you say you don't have enough knowledge on something? Is that like a meme? And he was like, no, that just really means I don't have enough knowledge in something, so I don't have an argument for it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue things I know nothing about. You know, like, if I don't know about the topic, I just say I don't know about the topic and I'm not going to argue about it.
Like, he couldn't pick up on, like, an honest...
He didn't understand the concept of somebody admitting ignorance on a topic, so not debate it. Like, he thought it was a meme. Like, it's not a meme, bro. It's, I literally don't know anything about that topic. I'm not going to sit here and debate it on the spot, you know, without knowing anything
That's okay to say.
Yeah, that's okay to say that you don't know something. Or that you don't want to debate something. H3 and Crowder had a back and forth. Seder was a
Just
one-way attack on Crowder. So Ethan looks terrible not dealing with the back and forth and calling for help. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And being deceptive in the first place. Ethan also read a fake email from Crowder as if it was real. Oh, shit. Also, now Steven can just attack Seder as a guy who is seeking attention and will do anything. Yeah, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. On Sam Seder's part, it should look to him as if he's got to win. He starts this hashtag. He's constantly saying it like, you won't debate me. So, like, to me, it's like, once you got it to that point, why keep going? You know what I'm saying? This is where, like, Sean didn't keep going after Hunter for a debate. Like, Hunter didn't want to debate. And he said, all right. You know, he says that Sean will keep going at it, but that's his fans that do that, right? That's not him. Sean hasn't asked him for another debate since then. So it's like, you know, you accept that part and you're like, okay, he doesn't want to debate. I accept it. I'll take that. You know, if I want to see that as a win, I can. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, you got it. What would be the case of, like, now Sean looking for a way to deceive Hunter into debating him, you know, and trick him into it? What would be the point of that? That's why you get these guys who watch Streamwiner too. Giving people a time of day is sort of giving them power. That's true too. But that's what I'm saying, where like people come on the internet and they think the tactic is to insult you and make a video insulting you, and then that means you have to give them attention, or that's how they're going to trick you into giving them attention. So sometimes I say give them attention, but make it negative, and then stop altogether, you know, and then ignore them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I did that with Ask Yourself. I remember he came in our server and acted like a douche, and then I made a whole video with screen caps showing how he came in and acted like a douche, saying that we couldn't argue, that we couldn't handle his arguments when we were telling him we're not going to argue with him. It's like, hey man, this isn't a debate channel. Like, don't come in here to debate. I thought you were a fan of Devin's. You were going to come in here to be a fan, not to debate. And he was like, that's not an argument. That's what he said to us, telling him that. And then we told him on top of that, then we started telling him, well, I mean, if you want to debate, there's a debate channel, right? And he was like, oh yeah, that's not an argument either. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, all right, well, if you're going to keep acting like you're in a debate when nobody's debating with you, I'm going to kick you out. And he was like, oh, you can't handle my argument. You won't debate me. And I was like, all right, later. Click. And then he went back to his channel and told everybody, hey, guys, we got, these guys couldn't handle my debate and they kicked me out because they couldn't handle debating me. It's like, nobody debated you, bro.
Debating a wall. Like...
Well, luckily, I got all the screen caps and I made a video about it. And I was like, look, nobody debated him. He kept pushing out arguments and people were replying with, yeah, we're not going to argue with you. This isn't a debate channel. Go to the debate channel. If you want to debate, go to the debate channel.
Yeah.
Well, as this guy saying, Sean could have tricked Hunter into debating him on Sitch and Adam's stream yesterday or something like that. But he didn't do that. I don't think Sitch and Adam would even do that either. I don't think they're even those kind of guys. They probably would have been like, oh, Sean, I'm not going to do that. Even if Sean wanted to do that, he'd be like, nah. By the way, PSA Sitch went after Hunter on critical race theory. Hunter was copying Destiny's non-points against... Yeah, because they were on another debate panel together, where Destiny was doing that again. And I was I don't know why Destiny keeps going to this argument. It's useless. Like, that doesn't work. That's not what the argument is. Like, and Sitch has been reading a book with a collection of the most influential scholars. So he's busting him on that too. But they're trying to pull the same, like, defund the police kind of thing with it, where you argue it and they're like, well, defund the police doesn't really mean defund the police. And then when you show them, well, look, this person who started that phrase, you know, they literally want to have no police. And it's like, oh, you know, and then they change, oh, but that's not what I mean. It just means
that's not what it meant.
Revert resources. So why call it that? Oh, you know, this and that. Yeah. That's why, what's his name? I heard Vosh make a point one time that I was like, oh, this is very indicative of who they are, where he said something about you have to be extreme in order to push the Overton window. So basically what he's saying is that they are not debating things they actually believe. They debate the extremes of what they believe in order to push the middle point to the left. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far right as they are, they think that if they keep pushing far left, I mean, if they keep pushing more far left, that the middle the center will keep moving left with them. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
follow them, and the things that are like weren't debatable before will be now. You know, it's like, you know, like, oh, like 20 years ago, people weren't talking about communism as much. You know, now we're talking about it as if it's a normal thing. You know.
I think I've seen something similar with that, or heard something similar with that, with like within the vegan space, like that. There was that girl, Freely the banana girl, whatever, and she used to have like outrageous things that she would say about veganism, like how it's the better way, and meat eaters are like just like murderers, basically. Like she'd say like way more extreme things than that, but the point she explained was that it was to like just get the conversation started and get people like into the vegan space, I guess, or something like that. So I guess it's like that shock factor thing is what they're going for, or something like that.
Yeah, basically. That's how you keep pushing things where they think it works, but at times that creates opposition more too.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah,
more of what
I
they're
don't see that
doing.
working really.
Yeah. And they're literally creating their own enemies, right? Like that's what they end up doing, is constantly creating their own enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a person who is under the belief that Trump wouldn't have even won that first time if it wasn't for that huge feminist like SJW push that came out culturally like right before that election. I think that really pushed people to vote for Trump more than
Yeah.
would have if that wasn't there. That's why they call themselves centrist too, to shift the they keep trying to shift the Overton window. Vosh literally admitted to that, and literally admitted to saying that that's why you have to push these really radical ideas in order to push the over, even if you don't believe them, just because you want to push the Overton window. But this is where he gets caught. This is why Destiny and him argued, and Destiny told him, and well, he had to admit that it's okay to be misleading if you're pushing people away from being fascist. Like that's his goal, basically. This what he does on the internet is pull people away from being fascist towards the left. You know.
Yeah.
So the more radical he is, the more he feels like he's pushing the Overton window, and then also, the more good optics he gets in debates and arguments and on the internet, the more the left looks appealing, right? But in the end, you're just showing yourself to be a deceiver. This is where Destiny says in the end, it might look like you're doing better for your cause, but in the end, it's gonna fail. Like you're doing damage to your cause, because in the end, people are gonna start realizing it's full of shit. The people who follow you are gonna grow up and notice you're full of shit, and be like, "Damn, this guy I've been listening to for years is full of shit."
That's what I was like thinking. Like how that maybe could work for a few times, but how many times until people are like, all right, like this guy's just full of shit, and then who's actually sticking around to just keep on giving that person the benefit of the doubt? Like, I guess people that watch Vosh are either that dumb or young and don't know any better, or just like just blindly throw support at him.
Well, I say most of the people that listen to them are young. They gotta be. They're like probably like 16 to like 26 or something like that. 10-year gap right there. Up to his age now, I think he's getting older, but I'm sure some of those kids are going to be getting older and they're not going to be listening to him as much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, if he doesn't evolve too, I mean, we see this all the time where people get popular and then they're not. They kind of have to evolve with the changing times to continue to be popular. Like, look at Hassan. Hassan's barely even doing debate or politics stuff anymore. Most of the times I see him post shit, it's like him reacting to silly videos or talking about a stream where some girl is talking about him. You seen those? He keeps posting clips of like hot streamer chicks talking about him. Be like, oh, Hassan is so hot. And he posts those clips on his YouTube. Like, that's what he's doing. Because now he's super rich. He got a huge fan base. If he sticks to talking about politics, that's going to get old. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got to evolve with that. And now he sees he's got a lot of girls following him. They all think he's hot, whatever. So he's going to play to that and, play to all these things. If Vosh continues down this path doing the same exact thing, it's not going to work out for him. It's already starting to look bad. Like, Destiny's making him look bad. Didn't he say that already when they were saying, like, oh, how come it's okay for Vosh not to debate you, but for you to not debate this person or something? He was like, I think Vosh just doesn't want to debate me because I've been making him look bad. I think he just doesn't want to look bad anymore.
Even that last panel thing that I can't remember the name of the stream that Vosh and Destiny were on, but Vosh looked so bad in that. And so many people
Yeah.
like were pointing out what Vosh was doing. Like even one guy, I can't remember his name, but just talking about like he throws all those points, but then he'll start walking them back as well. So like he'll
Yeah.
respond to a point, and then he's starting to like go against the point that he first threw at you to make his argument. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, it was called out on that, but he was doing a Mott and Bailey, which is what you end up having to do when you work so many extremes because you're trying to push the Overton window. But when you get into a debate like that and you try to do that, you have to Mott and Bailey's, which is like, when you put out an extreme concept and then when people call you out on it, you pull back that extreme concept and argue like a reasonable thing, part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As if you never said the extreme thing,
Like as soon as you agree with their point of view or something like that, or even just the other day, it happened. We shared the same article of somebody on Twitter. As soon as you have like something that's agreeing with them, they're like, "Oh, I never mind that. Scrap that. I agree. I don't agree." And they have to go back to like arguing.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's like a common ground somewhere in there.
But that's the problem, is that people don't want to reach common ground. That's especially somebody like Vosh and Lance, so like they say, they try to push the Overton window. You can't find common ground with them because trying to find common ground with them would mean not moving the Overton window, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push people to the left as much as they can. That's their entire agenda. That's their whole reason, or activism, and their whole reason for being on the internet. So when it comes to like having a debate with them where you reach compromise, if it isn't a compromise that's pushing things to the left, then they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? So there is no compromise. If you're on the right and you're trying to reach a centrist view with them, they're not going to meet you in the center. That's not conducive to them, to what they want to do. It's crazy. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's antagonistic. This is why I tell you about these people. They're uncharitable. They don't want to come on and have a reasonable conversation with you. They want to fight with you.
Yeah, they assume that they know how you're gonna approach things already, and it's like you're just exposing like just their reactions. They're just exposing their reactions to being like just a bad faith arguer in like the whole exchange, basically. But they're doing it that way. Their excuse is because they think the other side's going to do it. It's just kind of lazy.
Yeah, they're not good at what they think they're good at
is
what they do, but they're just good. The thing is, they're not good debaters. They're good talkers, right? Like that's what they do. So they think being a good talker is being a good debater, but it's not working. Like that's why I say they talk fast. They shoot out all these ideas, and then you can't really talk against just one because it's too many. And and it gets all confused, and it becomes a whole thing of yelling and wait, no, and then next thing you know, you never actually debated anything. It's just all word salad. That's why I say to make a video, you can pause and go back and listen to arguments over and over and be like, okay, I got this argument. I see what he's doing. The only thing good about being on the spot is like steel manning and stuff and be like, are you saying this or is this what you mean? But I mean, you can do that in video format too, really, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why they would rather debate you. This is why we were telling that Brenton guy going after Sean. It's like, yeah, go make a video. Like Sean actually made a video on you going through the points slowly and making sure he was, correct and put hard work into it. Like, and now you're just like, yeah, just come on a debate with me. I don't want to do any work. Like, what? Like, no, you put in the work too. Respond in a video. Like, go put in the work.
Insist a debate.
Yeah.
Maybe live stream trying to catch the person somewhere talking about something where it's like I'm hearing that tomfoolery person talking about he's exhausted because he's trying to do a live stream, trying to catch somebody saying something out of line so we can talk about it and stuff. It's like, just make your video.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, they just put some time and effort into something. And instead of like just playing games, like.
What a shame. I'm streaming, so you know.
I know. When they spill out too many points for you to address and don't allow you to address them all over time, it's called a gish gallop.
Oh, yeah, gish gallop. I've heard them say that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why when you're actually debating people, you're supposed to have a notebook and a pen so you can write down all the things you want to address.
Yeah,
they say
point by point.
It seems more helpful than just yelling at somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is they're not actually wanting to debate to find truth on whose side has better points. They're just trying to own each other like idiots.
Yeah, it's optics. It's
Yeah.
all an optic game. Who looks better is not really who actually made the better points. It's really just who comes out looking better.
But yeah, I figured I was watching your stream. I figured I'd jump in and let you know what
Nice.
that terminology was.
Yeah, no doubt. That's cool. These people need to stop coming up with stupid names for things. Yeah.
Well, it is retarded, but the reason why I know it is because high school I was dating a chick from across the lake, and she used to go to debate, and my high school didn't have a debate team, but I would just drive over, show up, and like blow them out of the fucking water.
Oh, I think I'm gonna have to share something here. So I think I see the Surfs trying to post a meme on Sean.
Oh.
What? It's not even that funny. It's really stupid. It's because Sean's selling prepper stuff. Actual Justice Warrior limited time special.
Oh yeah,
series,
I remember.
So he
It's going
wrote,
up.
use
Yeah.
promo code 1350. What? To receive 20% of your prepper bucket. Oh, because
That's what you
the
think Sean
1350. Yeah.
is arguing all the time for 1350. When that's
Yeah.
Lance's argument every time he thinks he interprets it as the 1350 stat thing.
It's actually not 1350 anymore either. I think it's like 1256 or something now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, mathematically, if you account for only males between the ages of 16
Yeah, it's like
and 33, it's like 358 or
Mhm.
something like that.
Sean, was there an actual code for this? What was the code?
Just call me Sean.
Oh no, to AJW.
That's a no. Yeah.
Oh, in the chat.
So I can put my working pants on and be like, actually.
Well, I told him actually it's more like 356. I think that's closer. The Surfs can't meme. Yeah, that's really bad. He can't meme at all. Like, how is 1350 a gotcha? Like, how does that even work? It's like, oh my god, he let me make fun of him for using statistical facts. Like, what? Just the website prepare.
Oh, it's just the website.
Yeah. No, but I mean, he doesn't even realize it, but he just promoted you. Like, he's showing people where to put your code and oh, well, I guess that's not the real code. The quartering. Oh, no, he said, remember when you backed out of our debate because someone in a charity stream said mean things about you? Well, I mean, that's fine. I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, I mean, I wrote a check, my ass couldn't cash, I wouldn't do it too, but I think that's still a pretty bad L for Ethan if he didn't inform Crowder first. Yeah. You know what's funny? This is why I like looking at the Surf's fucking tweets, man. This is so funny. Let me show this on the screen. He's trying to bust the quartering here, right? So the quartering says, yeah, I mean, if I wrote a check my ass couldn't cash, I would do it too. Basically saying he would take the L, like I would take the loss, But I think that's still a pretty bad L for Ethan if he didn't inform Crowder first. So he is admitting he would look bad in that situation as well, So the Surfs is trying to turn that into a dunk and say, remember when you backed out of our debate because someone in our charity stream said mean things to you? Like, that's not a gotcha. He's literally saying he would take that L like he did in that situation. Like, you're basically making the same point he's making. He doesn't even realize he's making the same exact point that the quartering's making. Like, yeah, I'd take that L. Like, yeah, exactly.
He does the work. He's so eager to get a gotcha on someone that he can't even get his gotchas right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, so you're agreeing with Jeremy? Like, you're saying they both take L's in that situation? Because the quartering said, I would take an L in that situation. Ethan should take the L in this situation. And then he's thinking he's got a gotcha on him by saying, remember that time, the blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, he said he would take that L. So, I mean, he's probably going to respond with, yeah, I ducked out of that.
I
You know,
do remember
now what?
you.
You know, like where are you gonna go with that argument? Then where do you go then? Sean, you should change your code to 1350 for that. Like thanks to, like tweet it out. Thanks to the surf's great idea, I decided that the perfect code would be 1350.
Oh my God, he'd be like, his head would be
Yeah, his
spinning.
head would
It's like a
explode.
zoom in to you talking about 1350.
Or change it to the
See,
more
likes when you
accurate
zoom
modern
in.
statistic, which I think it's. I really think it was like 1256 or something like that. No, 356 in you. Change your code to 14 word. That's different now. That's not the same thing now.
It might make heads explode though.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that he thinks it's a gotcha to say that Sean uses a statistical fact as a. Like, it's so weird.
Heavens forbid that they ever talk to the FBI.
Yeah, heaven forbid they take FBI numbers into account.
The FBI just posts every year hate facts.
Yeah, it's so weird. Let's make fun of Sean for using statistical facts.
Yeah.
What? How does that work? How is that a gotcha in any way? But that's the thing they've done now. They just go. It's like they have no argument for it. They have no argument for the 1350 thing, so they just say it and they just go, look, he's using 1350, and that's their gotcha. That's it. That's the end of the argument for them. And it's like that's you. But you saying that doesn't change the statistic. Like why? What's the? Like what are you doing? What do you think that does? That doesn't do anything. They think that's the end of the argument there. Just saying.
Even
I've seen it. I've seen people argue, and then the other person go, "Oh, did you just literally 1350? Oh my god! Oh," and they start laughing.
how
They're
he
like, "Oh my god,
responds.
yeah, he's 1350ing. Oh my god!" And it's like, huh? What does that mean? Like, what? Like, is that an argument, or like, am I supposed to argue? Take that as an argument and argue that, or what do you want me to do next? I don't get it.
even
I'm gonna
corn
duck out
cob
and go get
saying
my
the
food
same
off the
thing.
stove.
Oh, later, Shane.
Later, Shane.
Quick up one. Actual Jake, he's saying the same thing. Trying to call out Jeremy.
It's like it's weird because Jeremy's literally
Like he
saying he
did.
would take that L there. He doesn't debate. He's saying like, I would take that L there. I know I'm not going to win. I know I'm not going to come out looking bad. The best way to come out is to just admit that you're not good at that and just say, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally what he's saying. If I wrote a check my ass couldn't cash, I would do it too. As in, like, I would back out of that too. He can't debate. That's why he brought on Sam. Good move, to be fair. It's not a good move. It's a shiesty move.
Okay.
But the quartering's saying, yeah, he would have done the same thing and would take the L. That's kind of what he's saying. Like, I don't It's really weird that they're twisting that to mean something it doesn't. How does that say it? Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
I'm just not reading this like it's saying what they're saying as if he's not aware.
It's
I'm sure
funny that
he'd
that's
be
how
aware.
bad they all want gotchas on certain people, like the quartering, that they don't even actually read what they're saying. Like, aha, but you back out of debates. That's exactly what he said. It's weird. They think they got these gotchas, but they're just like owning themselves. All right. Well, I'm getting hungry.
Me
Oh, wait. Hold on. Sean responded to Lance. Let me see this. I
Oh.
gotta see this. Hold on. I'll pull it up and then we'll get going.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Did he quote tweet it or did he just put it in the reply?
Yeah. I put it in the main chat if you wanna.
Somebody said I thought you were hacked for a second. I told you he'd take personal offense to running a sponsor on a response to him. Also, remember that time Lance called NYC shooting stats, which were 94, 97% Black Hispanic, 1350, because he vomits up talking points in a brain dead website. Yeah, that's true. What a dunk.
Bodied.
What's the name here? Yeah.
Sean, you bodied him.
Oh my god, I should put that meme again. Hold on,
Yeah.
I do it every time. I'm waiting for Lance to put that on a fucking stream or something. I'm like, look at the memes. And he gets upset. There was another meme one time he saw on Sean's tweets or something when they were arguing. He was streaming and showing it. I forgot what meme it was. Oh, it was the condom theory one. It was a meme about condom theory. It was so funny. And he was like, oh, there they go with their memes. It's like, God. It's like, dude, you do memes too. And then, you know, like, and I know you think you're funny, laugh at them. Like, well,
The baby Yoda and the llama were noticed.
There you go, Lance got bodied. It's very strange because he just doesn't come out good in this. I don't understand why they do that. But I guess the audience is the same thing. They don't care about the truth or anything like that. They just, you know, push people to our side. That's all they care about. It's a team sports thing for sure.
Yeah.
Because anybody can see Sean is the better person, comes out better looking. Anybody can see that saying 1350 is not an argument to anything. Like, and nor is anyone proposing the art. Like 1350 isn't an argument; it's a stat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't even need to reply to that. It's just a
argument.
statistic. Like that's not the argument. It's an example used to combat a certain argument, saying that, you know, like this happens more, and then you say, oh yeah, but look at the stat. This means this happens more. That's why you're seeing more of this. And then they try to argue just the stat. It's like, that's not how it works. Like,
But one time he heard Sean talking about something. Sean brought up one certain point, and he's like, 1350, 1350.
1350. Yeah, that's what they do. I don't know how they think that works. Like, that's not an argument to say, oh, he did a 1350. Like, huh? That's not how it works. They think it's a meme or something. They're like, oh, you're going to use a meme. And it's like, it's not a meme, it's a statistic. You want to look it up? Like, you want to go over the statistics? We can do that.
1350 or critical race theory, I feel like, are the two things they're going to throw back at.
And then they move the goalpost. That's when they move the goalpost and go, but why? But why? And it's like as if the argument was why certain people commit crimes or whatever. Like, that's not what the argument is. Nobody's arguing that. We're not psychologists. We're not here to argue the psychology of, you know what I'm saying, of certain things. Somebody makes an argument like, oh yeah, this people do this because of that. And then someone says, well, look at these statistics. These show that these people do this at this rate. And that's why we're seeing a bigger rate of this. And then the argument is, but why? It's like, that's not an argument. That's a question. Like, you're not really giving any arguments here. I'm giving you an answer, and then now you want a different question. Now you want to change it to a different question. And that's not what we're here to do. I mean, how can we solve problems if we can't even get past the first step of accepting what the statistics are and what the objective truth of things are? Like, that's where the conversation stuck. The conversation stuck at the very beginning. We still have people who can't accept that crimes are done more by certain people, or that, you know, or that crimes might be caused not by other people, not because of other people, but yourself and your own agency. You know, that maybe bad things happen in your life from you making terrible decisions. Like, we still can't even agree to those things. How are we going to move on to the conversation of why certain things happen if we can't even agree to the initial first point? You know?
Yeah.
Can't even. All right. I think we discussed most of it. I guess tomorrow we'll find out about the Crowder thing, because that's going to come out, and we'll see between Crowder, Ethan, and Sam. Let's see who comes out the biggest douches. In the end, I'm pretty sure all three of them are just douches anyway. But, you know, it's funny to hear certain people pump, like, or talk about moral superiority about other people when they act just as terrible as the other people are.
Yeah.
As I say about TYT, right? Like, you guys aren't morally superior. You're just as bad as the people you complain about. All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys. And you guys have a good night.